I was like, when I said let's get the bass going, I was opening up QuickTime.
Oh my gosh.
I hit the button just in time though, so we're good.
What an 11th hour guy you are. I love it.
It's not a bird, it's not a plane, it's Superhero Slate. It's a modern podcast where we talk about everything that's great, like movies, TV, superheroes. It's Superhero Slate. Oh yeah.
Hello everyone and welcome to Superhero Slate, the show where we run down the latest superhero entertainment news.
We love TV, movies, and superheroes, so let's talk it all out.
My name is Chris Dillard.
And my name's Mike Royer.
And this week we're rocking out to the Guardians of the Galaxy news.
Oh, so on the nose there, Chris,
Yeah.
but I appreciate it.
Well, there's two things, okay? That's why we're going to go with it. Resident Evil reboots itself.
Ooh, and
a franchise
reboots itself right in the ass.
Right, a franchise that will not stay dead, if you will. What If season finale is reviewed by us, your hosts, and more.
And this is going to be a bizarre segue. I'll see if you know where I'm going here, Chris. Speaking of things going up asses, they are rebooting that 70s show, and they're calling it that 90s show. And the only reason I use that weird segue is I didn't realize this when I first read the headline, but it's actually like a sequel series to that 70s show. So Red Foreman and Kitty are coming back, and I think Donna might be coming back as well. I don't really know if this is going to be like a small like niche series where it's only going to be like 10 episodes like most shows are now, but I was like, at first I was like, oh, this is boring, they're just making that 90s show, but like, oh, they're bringing the characters back, this will be interesting. And then, you know, Red Foreman always like threatening people with boots up butts, so that was kind of exciting when I learned the in-depth info.
Well, this could have gone several ways. I thought maybe you were talking Thanos for a little bit there, that Ant-Man thing. But here's why this is funny to me, because it seems everyone in the goddamn world has forgotten about that 80s show, which had one season.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But now, mind you, the show they were cousins to each other, but the main lead was Glenn Howerton, who is known for his time in Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
Also AP Bio, which is really good if you have a Peacock.
Yeah, so I believe that show was like early 2000s, maybe. But
was it technically connected to that 70s show? Like, wasn't the hippie character with the long hair? Did he cross over between the two? I don't remember.
You mean Tommy Chong from Cheech and Chong?
Yeah. That's who it was. I was trying to remember his character's name of the show, but I couldn't remember.
Yeah,
it.
I don't know. I believe there was still the Record Club, but I mean, since it's like 10 years later, I just know the main character, Eric Foreman, right, in that 70s show was first cousins with Glenn Howerton's character.
Okay, so that's how they connect.
Yeah, that's how they but I don't think the show's ever crossed over in and of themselves. So, but yes, that 90s show, again, just jump another decade into it. It would I guess would be 20 years since that show ended.
I think the time lines up pretty well. And also, I was doing some nostalgia exploration in my head, and I think if I read the description right, I think it's supposed to be set in 95, which I think is right around the time of like personal computers like really hitting. So I'm already expecting Red Foreman to get angry at a computer and like throw it out a window or something like that. So so that's my weird segue from talking about Resident Evil reboots itself.
Well, there we go. That's fun. Well, that'll tie into Netflix, which we'll talk about here in a second. I believe I'm highlighting something in our notes. Was that Netflix?
Yeah, that was Netflix.
Okay, great. Because I've not jumped on that bandwagon yet, but that's because I have currently run completely out of time to die, Mike. There's no more time to die. 18 months later, there's finally some time to die from when the James Bond movie was released. And I got to go watch it on Friday in theaters. I was going to say #blessed, if you will. A coworker of mine, Scott, he is a Bond fanatic. He is he's our graphic designer, 60-year-old. He's seen all the Bond movies. Was very excited to go get someone to go watch this movie with him, and I was very excited to go watch it. So we went and watched Bond 25, No Time to Die in theaters. And I'm going to preface this with a story I believe I've said on the show and told multiple people. The first James Bond movie I ever actively saw was Casino Royale. I played GoldenEye, I played the other games, but I never watched them. I never had access to any James Bond movie until Casino Royale. So it's nothing. So this is a franchise, as we use the phrase, Mike, we're not precious with James Bond here. I don't believe you are.
No, not really.
I am not either. But watching the now 5 Daniel Craig movies in a row is very interesting to see a more connected through line than they've ever had before, right? We're in the era of cinematic universes, if you will. So this is very much a James Bond movie. I will give it that. Like they don't shy away from that, and it's very connected to Spectre, which is the movie right before this. So if you've not watched Spectre recently, because that movie was 4 or 5 years ago now, I recommend you watch that before jumping into this one. Now it does tie. There are homages to older Bond films. There are ties even to the original the first Casino Royale, and the Quantum of Solace. Was it what I say? Skyfall, Spectre, then this one. So yeah, if you like James Bond movies, I'd recommend you go watch this one. It's great to watch it in theaters. It was a good time. I had a good time, Mike. So I don't want to give anything away because people are very picky about their James Bond spoilers. And, we've waited a long time. There's been an extended delays on this movie to finally reach the theaters. But it looks like it's going to be the #1 box office movie of the year as more people hopefully get vaccinated and more theaters open up to more seating.
It all, we're all in this asterisk pandemic box office environment. But I did see a headline earlier today before we recorded that this Bond is underperforming compared to other Bonds that have come out, which makes sense. I think it was coming in at maybe 60 million domestic for the weekend, right. And the last one was around 70. I think Casino Royale might have been around 80 or 90 possibly. So, it's a pandemic marketplace. But I would say maybe the appetite for this specific Bond franchise is starting to wane. I think people are always kind of looking forward to the next fresh take on Bond. But I'll check out No Time to Die at some point in time.
Yeah, I think this one, if the allures of anything, is that it is definitively the end of Daniel Craig's era, right? He has said he's not doing this anymore. They're not going to bring him back. They're going to reboot it. And honestly, they've not announced anything. And I think that's the biggest question mark, right? Who's next? What's next down this thing? And will any of these characters return? I know there was kind of a soft reboot because Judi Dench started in not GoldenEye, was it? Maybe it was GoldenEye. She was M in the Pierce Brosnan era. And then she was M in this one as well, kind of connecting them. But that theory that James Bond is a code name to whoever is, this character is, that rumor's also thrown out the window in this one as well. So.
Well, I always thought it was funny when I was doing that Pierce Brosnan James Bond watch is he's a secret agent, but he's so secret that the normal people out in the world just don't know his name. So when he goes up to the villain to kind of meet him in disguise as oh, I'm a colonel, right? He'll be oh, what's your name? It's oh, my name's James Bond. I'm a colonel. But it's just I feel you shouldn't be throwing around your code name that even people in the office, call you by, because this is the easiest way to suss you out as a spy. So I guess that's just the pure hubris of Bond, where he's I can do anything that I want. I can tell anybody my name because I'm so good at my job.
Exactly. Yeah. And there, I will tell you, Mike, for since you love that, there's I think one moment like that in this movie where you're he's been so off the grid, but he says his name that, he's never took a secret name. I'm that's James Bond for you, man. He's just there. But you jumped into one of my favorite James Gunn movies, it looks like, after this.
Yeah. A shout out to NBC's Peacock. Even if you don't want to pay for a subscription, they have a treasure trove of kind of horror movies for the holiday season over on Peacock. And it's great because the streaming service is still in its infancy, so they don't want to scare away people with a lot of ads yet. So, for instance, I think on Slither, I didn't get a single ad past the halfway point of the movie. And even then, the ad, you only get maybe 2 ads. So for an entire 2-hour film, you might only see maybe 6 to 8 ads total. And unlike when you catch them on cable, they always backload all the ads, right? Because they know you're trying to finish the movie, so they just try to throw all the ads that you want at you. So yeah, I just have a free Peacock service, and I didn't realize NBC, Peacock, Universal, Comcast, conglomerate, I didn't realize they own the IP to so many classic horror movies. They have like the Jasons, the Michael Myers, the Freddy Kruegers, the Child's Play. They just have like all of the classics. So like if you're trying to find a place to watch all these iconic horror characters, you got to head over to Peacock because they're just all there. I think they call it Peacocktober. On their
that
like,
is
little
the
landing
worst
page.
fucking name I've ever heard before. Like, I applaud them for having this collection, but I want to walk into their marketing department and slap them across the face. But go on.
This is one thing that I do have to say. I think Netflix is missing, even though Netflix also does kind of categorical like playlists and stuff. They don't have any like splashy landing pages. So kind of when I click into the Peacocktober, I get like this big graphic at the top that's like shattered glass and it shows Chucky and like Jason and all these other horror people on there, and then it's all black and they have all this orange text, and it's just like, oh, this is kind of cool. I kind of feel like I'm in the season, like browsing my scary movies or whatever. So I'll just say a shout out to that. I think HBO Max does that a little bit as well. Mm-hmm. So that's a +1 for a streaming competition. But over on Peacock, I finally got to watch Slither, which is one of James Gunn's first movies. I don't know if it's his first feature film or what exactly the lineage is there, but it's kind of one of his earlier movies. Definitely lower budget. Nathan Fillion.
Michael Rooker, the chick from The Office.
Yeah, which was his ex-wife. Ex-wife now. Pam from The Office. And then I can't think of the... Elizabeth Banks, that's who is kind of like the main lead in there. And it was like wild. It was like exactly what you think James Gunn would make, but I'm trying to imagine people watching this for the first time not knowing who James Gunn is now, right? Like this seems totally up his alley, and it's like weird. Michael Rooker is in like this crazy like slug makeup, monster makeup and everything, and then they cut to kind of some lower budget CG, but they try to like meld it together. There's like these cheesy jokes. There's like, it kind of transforms into like a weird zombie movie. And there's like the thing that like hooked me into the movie, right? Was I was going to watch it anyway. James Gunn, Nathan Fillion, like, you've got the classic like James Gunn dialogue throughout it. But about halfway through the movie, you get this just hilariously bloated woman that's like full of slugs, and she literally fills the entire barn. It's like almost like a cartoon, right? It's like this creature could not exist or survive in any way, and it's just like a face. It's like when you see people do the exaggerated drawings of like Kingpin in the Spider-Verse, he's like this big burly thing with just a circular head. Like just imagine that to the extreme, and I was like, oh, this is wild. I'm loving this. So it's just a really cheesy, like, fun movie, totally from the mind of James Gunn. So go check out Slither on Peacock, with a couple ads on there. But it got me into the spook season.
This is a movie before I knew who James Gunn was. I just enjoyed this film for it's. It feels like B-movie schlock, but with a little bit of a higher sheen to it, really.
Yeah, you can tell he's doing it because he wants to do it that way. It's very intentional.
Yeah, so like it is, and it's got like, I think I was having a conversation about this. When you have a bad movie and everyone in it doesn't want to be in the movie, you can tell. But everyone in here was like really having a good time and like kind of being sold on the idea, right? Like this is we are having fun. This is completely batshit crazy. But like it's very, very gross. It kind of reminds me of that. What was that movie? With like the Faculty. Do you remember the Faculty movie?
Yep.
It was very similar to the Faculty in kind of like premise, but like this is like so B movie. Of course, it's like some sort of out backwoods country town that's infected, and like you said, the lady reminded me of the Willy Wonka movie where she gets blown up. Violet turns into the blueberry. Yeah. It's gross. It's awful. It's so much fun. And then, like I said, it's got the James Gunn usuals, if you will. I think
everybody, like you said in the movie, understands the assignment. And then Superfan Jim reached out, and he was asking us for kind of like our top 3 horror movies of the season, and then also our candy recommendations. So I think we're going to give that a little closer to Halloween to kind of really vibe with the season. But we're mulling it over our heads, and I'm curious maybe now if Slither is going to kind of be in my recommendation now.
In your wheelhouse, yeah.
Wild time. And, to use wild to segue to the next thing, I mentioned this last week. I'm definitely not ahead of the trend. I feel like it took me forever to finish this, and I was trying to avoid spoilers for weeks now. Finally finished Squid Game. What a wild trip. You gotta watch this for many reasons, right? Not just because like the story is just kind of like nutty and crazy, but like I do not indulge very often in kind of like foreign television, right? Maybe sometimes like a foreign movie, right? If it gets enough buzz, enough popularity, usually if it's like dramatic and sentimental enough, it'll like, wind up as an Oscar nominee, and then like, oh, I got to watch that. I got to watch all the nominees. But like Squid Game's like, it seems like something that would have just been made by like a Western, television studio, but it's coming out of Korea, and it just shows my ignorance. I didn't know they had such cinematic like television chops over there. Yeah. Just a wild show. It's crazy. I love the story. The dubbed English did not bother me, even though I'm already kind of starting to see the subs versus dubs argument over the show. We were literally getting brunch / lunch yesterday, and in the restaurant we were hearing a family at the table next to us talking about Squid Game, and they were just like talking to each other, recommending it to somebody else at their table. It's like, no, you got to turn the dubs off, you got to turn the subtitles on and listen to the Korean. The best part of the show is listening to the Korean. And I'm just like, this dad is going crazy trying to convince this person to listen to it in Korean. I think you can enjoy it any way you want to enjoy it. Yeah. But I enjoyed the dub. I thought the voice actors were really great. Story's wild. I was no spoilers, but I was shocked that there's potential for more out of this. Like, there could be a season 2 that, could be a prequel. It could be a sequel. There seem to carve out a lot of elements that you continue the story through. And I thought it was really funny that like Netflix put out a statement of just like, oh yeah, there could possibly be more. There could be a season 2. We're exploring it. And it's just like, this show has been like #1 and has only been growing and like trending like literally everywhere. All of the clothes that they wear in the show are selling out all over the internet because this is going to be the #1 Halloween costume across the globe right now. You're going to make more. You would be idiotic not to try to get more out of Squid Game. So go put in the work. It's not even work. It's great. You'll enjoy it. You're going to be getting more Squid Game in the future anyway, so make sure you're prepared and you're in the zeitgeist and you know what everyone's talking about.
So correct me if I'm wrong. This was released originally on Netflix, but I think it was produced before Netflix even knew what it was going to be, kind of thing, right? Like,
yeah,
didn't they purchase it after it was
I've been trying to dive into the story. The problem is all of these headlines were hitting the internet while I was in the middle of watching it. And I was so worried about spoilers that I didn't click through to anything. So now I'm just like, I want to find all those articles again and learn more about Squid Game. But like, I had just finished it the other day. So like now I got to like research and go back and look at all this production. The only thing I know about it is the creator of the show was shopping this idea around for a long time and nobody wanted to make it. So I don't know if a Korean studio decided they wanted to make it and then they sold it to Netflix, or maybe like, I'm sure there's a Korean like office, there's a Korean Netflix office, and then maybe they approached them. I'm not exactly sure of the origin, but it seems like this creator has had this idea for a while, so I'm sure that they are ecstatic that like, look at how good my idea was and all you passed on it.
Yeah, and I assume that's probably why, again, there's no, hey, we're working on season 2, simply because they didn't expect it to be this big. It's been in that realm of like the writer, director, whoever worked on it for so long. Like, he's like, I don't know yet. Like, maybe if you sell me a big enough check, but like, it took me a while to get here. I want to make sure round 2 is what I want it to be. And
and one big news story that's kind of coming out of this is the success of Squid Game on Netflix is elevating other like native Japanese and Korean shows that are already on Netflix. Like there's a show called like not Alice in Wonderland. It's like a pun. Alice in something land. I don't remember what it is, but I believe it was
Punderland?
It was either it was like a Korean or Japanese show, and I think that one is Borderland. That's what it was. So that one's getting a lot more eyeballs on it now. And then there's another one as well. So like, there's an appetite of people who are just like, yeah, I want to watch more of this. So I just thought that was really cool because I'm not a person that usually seeks like, kind of like foreign entertainment, because I have the luxury of being in a Western audience and like 90% of the entertainment's already made for me to begin with. So I don't usually have to go out and find it. But now this is kind of gets me a little bit excited to go out and like maybe find some new stuff.
Yeah. Well, so I mean, I think this started a couple years ago with that TV show Parasite or movie Parasite that won a lot of awards.
Oh yeah, because that won all.
Yeah, I watched a lot of South Korean film. There was The Host, which is the monster film from back then. I'm really familiar with South Korean. They have a lot of really good stuff. It's just it's sometimes hard to find some of those things easily accessible in America, right? Like we talked about anime on here because obviously we're the two people who know the most about anime and manga in the world.
Yes, of course.
Those are characters we're playing today, but like getting access to some of that stuff's not easy, right? So hopefully this makes maybe more international content easily available or is purchased by services we already have access to over here, because I think that would be huge.
Yeah, but before we transition to our next topic of talking about the open beta of Battlefield 2042, I have a conspiracy theory that whenever I don't play Call of Duty Warzone for a while and I boot into a lobby, they give me easier lobbies to try to hook their hooks into me all over again, because like I played 2 Warzone games before the Battlefield open beta was ready, and I was like, I'm doing really good. I'm getting way more kills than I ever get in this game. I'm coming in like 4th place, 8th place, like top 10 every time. Like, what's going on here? And I'm just like, they're doing this on purpose. They know Battlefield's coming out. They know I haven't been on this game in a while. They're trying to keep me on their platform because I played, and I think you played as well, a little bit of the Battlefield open beta this weekend, right?
Yes, I did. I played a lot Thursday, a little Friday, and some, I believe, Saturday night. Yeah, last night. I'm a Battlefield long lifer, if you will. Battlefield 2 for PC was like my first PC game I ever played when we hit college, because that came out about 2005. And they had a lot of expansions back when you used to buy again the disc expansions for the game, stuff like that. Played a lot of Battlefield 2, 3, Bad Company, 4, 1, 5. These numbers are specifically out of order. But Battlefield 2042 seems to be like another kind of push forward for the genre. It's not World War II. They didn't go back to the Vietnam War. They went forward in time. And while this game, this beta was fun, there are a couple things I'm not completely sold on yet. The graphics were extremely glitchy at moments for me, Mike. I don't know if you had any moments of seizure-inducing flashes, or
like the face texture not loading in all the way. Like, oh man, that's a wild face, dude.
And I don't know how you can adjust your gun attachments in game live, and I don't feel like I had enough time to actually learn what any of them do. So I felt like I was just going to my default one all the time, because I'm like, I don't know what any of this does right now. And there's no way to tell. But I mean, I'm looking forward to getting it. Again, on my next-gen consoles, I have 128 player lobbies, which is massive. I mean, we were playing 128 player lobbies in the beta, and I'm like, every time I turned around, there was somebody there. It was always something going on, and it felt like the tide of the map was always swaying one direction or other, and there was no time to kind of breathe. But I will tell you, I agree with you, Mike, flying the vehicles is nigh impossible. So.
Oh my God! Like, they're giving you 100% freedom, as if this airplane was real, and like they give you all 360 degrees, every dimension that you could go. But like that means like I get like halfway to a rotation, I'm already tanking right towards the ground, and I don't know how to right myself. I'm sure people that know how to use it can do some of the coolest shit that you'll ever see, like in a video game, right? Because they have total control over it. But I'm just like, I can barely fly the helicopter in a war zone, and that won't even let me go upside down. So, the learning curve seems to be a little steep. I'm not 100% sure if I'm going to be diving into Battlefield 2042 when it comes out, because I mean I'm going to be getting a brand new Warzone map here in November, and I already know how to play that game. So we'll see how it goes, I guess.
I will tell you the thing I like about Battlefield. I like their game modes better than I like the current Battle Royale modes. Like you work together as a team, you capture points, you hold points, you lose less tickets, on your meter, which is like one of my favorite kind of modes. Like, it's not dependent necessarily on like surviving rings, but like I could see them adding a battle royale mode down the pipeline, I guess, if you will. I think it's fun. I want more. I'm thankfully with my Xbox Game Pass, I get this game for free.
That'll be nice.
So I can feel good playing it without having to dive the full $60 into it, or $70 for PlayStation 5 games, because fuck you, that's why is what I'm feeling. Mike's heard I was able to get my disc PlayStation 5, and all I want to do is get Ghost of Tsushima, but it's $60 for the PS5 version, or $70 for the PS5 version, I think. And I'm like, this is asinine. So I'm trying to find a cheap disc copy I can play with. So cross my fingers. All right, well, we've talked long enough. We have spent most of this episode talking about other stuff. Let's jump into the news. First things first, next weekend is DC's Fandome, Mike. This is essentially DC's Comic-Con makeup event from last year, right? We didn't think we were going to get a lot. You had to buy an online ticket, I think, to get in there. Now this will be everywhere. YouTube, Twitch, online streaming. You can watch it wherever you want. And we're expecting content from The Batman, Peacemaker, The Suicide Squad Kills the Justice League, Gotham Knights, Black Adam, and hopefully all those HBO shows they're supposedly working on that we've seen absolutely nothing for yet. So I'm very excited for this, Mike. Like I want to see trailers. I want to see costumes. Give me the concept art. Like we're ready to go.
I feel like this is going to be a lot different this year because last year felt very much like a reaction to the pandemic. You know, how do we get this news out there? Comic-Con's not going to be here this year. We got to make our own thing. And I think they did a pretty good job. I mean, we didn't tune into everything. I'm sure there were some super fans that really dove into it, right? But this seems like they've had a lot more time to plan it out. Seems like DC Fandome is now here to stay in some aspects. So yeah, I kept seeing things that we're going to be getting a the Batman trailer.
Yes.
You know, I'm seeing that already pre-hyped, so I'm prepared.
Yes, the Batman. I mean, you showed me the Batman Lego sets that were being released.
Now forever, Batman Lego sets are tainted because they're making like these Lego Batman that are supposed to, you know, be attributed to these like broody, serious PG-13 movies, and I can't not see Will Arnett's Batman from the Lego Batman movie, so I think that's just really fun.
Yeah, exactly. And then I expect to see some reveals. The Riddler, maybe our first look at the Riddler, so on and so forth. So I'm very excited for the Batman. I know Black Adam, that movie that I never thought was actually going to get made, starring The Rock, is wrap filming, and they're going to have some teaser footage for that showing Hawkman and some of the other villains. Pierce Brosnan, James Bond himself, is in that movie as Dr. Fate. So I think the biggest thing here I'm maybe expecting, again, the video game world is huge with Suicide Squad Kills the Justice League and Gotham Knights, but I'm expecting maybe the Injustice 3, Mike. We've seen some leaks about Injustice 3 kind of being out there. I would expect the first announcement kind of to drop as well for that. So yeah, anything else you want to see? I mean, I'm stoked. I don't know what to expect, and I think that's the best part about it.
I think this is less specific to one particular movie, but I would love to see a strategy articulated, right? What does the future of like the DC cinematic universe look like? Maybe a Flash teaser trailer, right?
Yeah.
I mean, because they've been filming a little bit. Just give me a little bit of like direction, like just what do I expect for like the next like 5 or 6 years of DC? What am I what am I attaching myself to? Do I want to be on this bandwagon or not?
Yeah, I 100% agree. Do they know what they're doing? Will this, Ben Affleck said he filmed it. He had a good time filming his parts in that. So yeah, I mean, I want to know what's going on with that movie. I think that there's a big question mark. Aquaman 2, I'm kind of less interested in, right? Like I feel that's a safe movie. So yeah, bring on the Fandome. We'll be there. At the top of the show, we mentioned the Resident Evil trailer, and it's called Welcome to Raccoon City. I thought this was a Netflix movie, but I was wrong because it's a Netflix TV show coming out. So I was half in the mindset. But this looks like they're just going balls to the wall, Resident Evil video game mode rather than the initial franchise mode that they did with what's her name? Can't think of the actress' name. But this looks like when we talk about Slither being a B movie with Sheen, this looks like a C movie with no Sheen.
Yeah, just to be clear, because it's very confusing because we talk about a lot of different live action or even series of Resident Evil stuff. This is the Resident Evil movie. This is coming to theaters. The tagline even says like theaters November 24th. Resident Evil, Welcome to Raccoon City. there's real people in this. This is not highly polished CG. So that's what this is, which it's all very strange because it seems like they're trying to launch a new franchise, because in this trailer, it looks like they're combining a little bit of Resident Evil 2, the video game, where they go to Raccoon City, but also there seems to be clips when they're going into the mansion, and even the iconic shot of the first time you see a zombie in the first Resident Evil game, where it's on the floor, then it slowly like looks up to the side. I think that imagery is even incorporated into the first Resident Evil like logo, like the splash screen. So I don't know if they're like conflating two timelines together or what exactly they're trying to do.
Yeah, well, they have all 4 characters from the first 2 games in here as well, like Chris and Claire Redfield, Leon Kennedy, and I forget who the other one is. So like they are mixing and matching their stuff, but like it feels more like a bad video game.
Yeah, I think that's really the story out of this trailer. Of just like it looks like you're seeing like lower tier streaming budgets with like the graphics, or I guess the CG. I'm saying graphics because I keep thinking a video game in my head. Nothing looks particularly compelling out of here, right? It's not like I'm seeing some sort of like visionary directing style. It just looks like very just straightforward of just like, oh, we need somebody to make kind of like a Resident Evil movie. Just hire anybody. It doesn't matter. We don't want any flair or anything. I would love to be totally wrong, and this is just a weird, wild movie. But this honestly looks like we're already at failure to launch this franchise.
Well, there are bad video game movies that have personality. This makes me think of Doom with The Rock and what's his name, Carl Urban, right, in terms of graphics effect. And that movie was like what, 06, 07? So like the fact that, you know, there's no like big names like attached to this, like, you know, there's no draw into it right now. Like even the main actress who seems to be the one who's guiding the story doesn't feel compelling enough in this trailer alone. So I did watch the international trailer as well, which removes the Four Non-Blonde song, What's Going On, and has like a little more of a moody intro. I want good things from Resident Evil. We're getting a lot of Resident Evil right now, but I'm not feeling this one, Mike. I think this might be a wait till it's streaming kind of movie.
I agree.
So don't.
And yeah, it's Sony Pictures Entertainment. So the last time we heard about streaming rights to Sony stuff is Netflix, but that deal is technically not done yet. So I don't know if this will be streaming on Netflix next year, and I don't know how long it's going to take.
I fully expect within like 30 to 60 days this will be right on something. So if not sooner. So yeah, don't expect a live review from us on that one, folks. We'll keep you posted. If you're not on the Timothee Chalamet bandwagon, you just need to get out of my life. I don't need that negativity because he is an amazing young actor, Mike. He's up and coming, and he has been cast to play, it looks to be a prequel Willy Wonka here. And we got our first image earlier today. This was earlier today, Mike. Hot off the presses here. And if I was to give him anything, I would rate him today's date 10 out of 10. Because he's
Chris. I didn't know you were such a Timothee Chalamet.
I am. I mean, look at him. Yeah, exactly. So this is a young Willy Wonka. He's got his big top hat on. His looks like a crushed velvet coat, if you will, but she shouldn't be wearing out in the snow. And scarf. He looks very, very, I would say, modern hipster, right? If I was to walk down to it,
this looks like a man who could be walking down the sidewalk in Brooklyn in December.
Yeah, exactly. So very much so. I have no idea what the story is. It's probably not going to be a very good story on Willy Wonka, but I do love the actor. I did want to call out that he will be in 2 movies on the same day at the end of this month. He is the lead, Paul Atreides, in the upcoming Dune movie, which will be on HBO Max and in theaters. And he was also on that same day in Wes Anderson's The French Connection, coming out that same day, which I'm very excited to see both of those movies, actually. So, yeah, I'm excited. I'm not about Willy Wonka. I'm excited about Timothée Chalamet.
The French Dispatch.
The French Dispatch. There it is. Sorry. French Dispatch. Yeah, the Wes Anderson film. Which, when you watch the trailer, is very much 110% Wes Anderson through and through. So, yeah, I'm excited. I mean, in terms of seeing the actor, not in terms about seeing another Willy Wonka prequel, or not another, but a Willy Wonka prequel. But yeah, any thoughts on this, Mike? I mean, I
guess even though I'm usually not a prequel fan in general, I suppose the most interesting part about Willy Wonka as a character probably would have been how did he get to how he got to, right? We only get to meet him as the eccentric dude that's trying to give away his whole empire. So I suppose building the candy empire could be very interesting.
Where did he get
well.
those little singing dudes who make all this chocolate? That's the question.
Oh, yeah. How do you approach that? Yeah, is this just going to be... Are they just going to gloss over it like the house elves in Harry Potter where they're just totally slaves?
Well, those books by Roald Dahl are really, really weird. It's Roald Dahl, right? Who did that, I believe?
Yeah. And also, the whole Roald Dahl library, all of that IP was just bought by Netflix recently.
Yeah,
so
anything that was available, I think, was bought by Netflix.
Yeah, so you'll be seeing a lot more Roald Dahl here. I wouldn't be surprised if there's going to be a Willy Wonka animated show for kids coming down the line.
I can see them doing a sequel to the first movie that's not connected to this kind of thing, Charlie's Chocolate Empire or whatever they call it. I really like.
You know what?
Yeah, go ahead.
Go really high concept premium streaming series and give me a Succession version of Charlie where Charlie's now trying to give it away, but Charlie has kids, a nasty family. They're all vying for his candy kingdom that he inherited, and then there's backstabbing and betrayal and comas. They won't go that way, but that would be absolutely hilarious.
That would be that's the way you want it to go, isn't it? So
yes, I love Succession. We never talk about it on the show because there's hardly any crossover with Succession and superhero stuff. But the third season of Succession comes back, I think, in a week on HBO Max, and I'm gonna be all over.
Yeah, well there you go. That's the way to do it. Yeah, I think again, as an actor, I think it's great. The prequel could be fun. There are books based on this stuff. But yeah, I was trying to think of what the other Roald Dahl thing I was watching, but I really, really enjoy the original Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, or is that the Gene Wilder one? I really enjoyed that movie. So not that this is tied to that, but I like that. My memories of that are great and feels good. So there you go. Take a look at that Wonka photo in our show notes where we put all of our stuff. Shout out to a listener of the show, Adam Nemec. Adam, you're a good friend. I like Adam. He played Fortnite with me this weekend. He's our Ghostbusters stan, if you will. Anytime we say anything wrong about Ghostbusters, he is the first person to correct me every week. Even if we say something slightly wrong, he will correct me, and I applaud him for that because if you got something, you stick to it, man. He did inform me that they did a surprise screening of Ghostbusters Afterlife at New York Comic-Con panel for this movie this weekend. So
why not? They got it. Yeah. It's been sitting on a hard drive forever now. Yeah. They're just we unfortunately put it on a mechanical hard drive, and this is just how you can't leave your car in the garage for too long during the pandemic. We just gotta get the disc spinning. We gotta play it for somebody, or it's just all gonna disappear.
Exactly. And he said that he planned on going and seeing the panel, but he didn't go, and then they got the surprise screen. So he's a little bummed out for this movie coming out next month. But I mean, that is one of the cool parts about going to different comic conventions of any kind. There is a risk/reward for everything out there. And sometimes going to the right panel can lead to watching movies. Sometimes it can be, seeing footage that, you don't see anywhere else. Other times meeting actors you've never met before. So
keep if you're next time you're at a high profile Comic-Con, keep an eye out for TV show panels.
Yeah.
And TV shows that are premiering for the first time, because panels only have a certain amount of time that they're allowed to hold the room, and it's very easy to show the season premiere of a TV show because, best case scenario, it's only 22 minutes long, and then there's plenty of time left over for Q&A. Mm-hmm. Even if it's a 40-minute show, you can squeeze in a little Q&A at the end. So, yeah, keep an eye out for series premiere panels at comic book conventions.
One of the C2E2s I went to with Adam was there, actually, and we sat down at this book panel. It was just I think it might have been was it Ray Books or something like that? I forget who it is. But it was literally the panel where they announced that Disney was killing off the expanded Star Wars books and they're creating new ones. And we were at the time, we didn't realize how much of an impact that was because we didn't expect it at the panel. But they were there's no more EU Star Wars books. We're making all new ones going forward to fit in the canon. And we were oh, this is interesting. So, you never know what you're going to learn at a panel or meet. I remember my first C2E2, I met Chris Hemsworth before the Thor movie even dropped out or come out yet. And we were who is this guy? Why is he 7 foot tall and I have to look up at him? So
he's only the biggest deal in the world now.
Yeah, exactly. And then my 2012 C2E2 is my favorite one because you get to see Avengers a week and a half or 2 weeks early before all you other plebeians got to see it. But it's a good time. But yeah, so that the lesson of this is if you're at a Comic-Con that has any weight behind it and has a panel, again, TV shows, movies, if you want to go to it, you never know what you're going to get out of those. So good for them. Without any details, I'm going to talk about the Obi-Wan show here because apparently a couple things. It could arrive before Andor, hopefully maybe before Star Wars Day 2022. Wouldn't that be a pretty hot drop to watch Kenobi on May 4th?
I suppose.
But apparently I read this description of an epic Obi-Wan versus Darth Vader fight planned for this series. And not knowing how many episodes this is, this sounds like it could be like the whole episode kind of fight. Like not one of those like, we slash sabers a couple times and we're done. It's like a huge fight that could, involve a lot of force powers and lightsabers, which I know you're a big fan of.
It's like they used to call it like a bottle episode, right? Where let's stick to one location so we don't have to change things up too much. We can just focus on the story. It's like, no, one location, but just lightsabers the whole time. They're not even going to say anything. Just slash lightsabers. I feel like that's pretty epic, and maybe it could possibly inform the only other lightsaber fight that we get to see in the chronological order after this show, right? When they finally meet up. Is it on the? This just
it's on the Death Star.
Okay, I couldn't remember if it was on the Death Star or if it was on one of the Star.
Yeah, because they're like that's no moon, and then they get tractor beamed into it.
Yeah, maybe Ewan McGregor gets kind of like a pretty serious injury during the fight, which explains like why his lightsaber fighting style slows down so much.
It's also, from my understanding, is that this is like Obi-Wan. This is before he went into like hermit mode, like cut himself off from the Force kind of deal. So yes, like this is going to be like a powered up Obi-Wan kind of thing. Hopefully, maybe not the height of his powers, but like still like, hey, nah, cut your legs off. I had the high ground kind of thing.
Yeah. The funny thing though, speaking of Andor, out here in Los Angeles today, every once in a while we get skywriting in the sky. Somebody hires a plane to go up there and like, I don't know, confess their love to somebody, or we even had
Restore
one time
the Snyderverse.
Exactly, if they're pulling a banner. There was a comedian one time who got a bunch of money together just to do a skywriting joke where he had the plane just write, "How do I land?" So whenever there's skywriting up there, you always got to take a look. And there was one today when we were driving down the freeway, we saw the letters live being spelled. First letter A, second letter N, third letter D, and they were like, oh, are they spelling my wife's name, Andy? And then the fourth letter was an O, so it was Ando. And I'm like, oh, where is this going? Is this Andor viral marketing? Because the cloud, the writing was kind of above where like Disney is over in Burbank. So I was like, this would be weird. I haven't heard anything about Andor. I don't know why they'd be spelling in the sky. And then it stops at Ando, and then they make a heart. So we're just left with this perplexed message of Ando heart. I don't even know what that means, but I was this close to Andor viral marketing, and I was about to be angry. I was like, don't put that in the sky.
See, if you put the emoji heart in here, it looks like an R mic. So yeah, maybe they love Andor. No, but we don't have any news on Andor, sadly. But yeah, I mean, they know what we want in an Obi-Wan show, right? We want to see him fight, not be an old crazy guy who's like who thought hiding was changing his name from Obi-Wan Kenobi to Old Ben Kenobi would work. So he sounds like a Bond. Is that a Bond move? Is that like is that sounds like it, but anyway. Moving along, this is what I was talking about jamming out. The Guardians of the Galaxy, the video game that is dropping at the end of this month, released a soundtrack of licensed music that will be in the game. And normally when you think about licensed music in a game, you're thinking like what, 1 or 2 songs, maybe 5 tops. No, they went balls out on this mic, like to the wall. They got Motley Crue.
This is basically Guitar Hero.
Yeah, they got Motley Crue, Rick Astley, even Aha, Take on Me, Kiss, etc. This is truly a Star-Lord playlist. Like this is in the echelons of his awesome mix, right?
Yeah.
This would be.
I'm gonna have to expand my custom Spotify playlist because I made my own playlist where I pulled in the Guardians soundtrack, the Guardians 2, Guardians the Ride soundtrack from Disneyland. So I'm gonna have to pull this one in there too, and I'm just gonna have beefy playlist.
Yeah, there was a Guardians of the Galaxy game that came out. It was one of those like, it's not point and click, but it's like the kind of like the passive one, right? Like where you kind of like it moves and you kind of just like gauge the language, like the dialogue along the way. And it had some really good bangers in it too. But like this soundtrack, I actually listened to the soundtrack while I was writing the notes today. I just put it on random. We got "Wake Me Up Before You Go," "Holding Out for a Hero," Mike, your song.
Bonnie Tyler. I saw that right from the game trailer.
Yeah, Blue Oyster Cult, "Don't Worry, Be Happy." This is just a fantastic soundtrack, and that makes me that much more excited for the game, if I was to be honest with you guys. So the other thing is, there's a video clip. I didn't link it yet. I'll link it whenever this goes live. Is they actually use actual dogs for the motion capture for Cosmo. So they put dogs in little motion tracking suits with the balls to get the Cosmo actions rather than just animating it regularly, which I thought was really funny.
That's always a fun day at work when dogs get brought in.
Yeah, exactly. When you got, I was like, I actually shared it with my wife. I was like, if anything's gonna get you excited to watch me play this game, it's they actually use dogs to do Cosmo, which is pretty funny. And then lastly, it comes out October 25th. I'm pretty sure. Gotta double check that date. There's a single player game, no microtransactions. So if you're very worried about putting more money into a game, or you don't want to, or you're like, I gotta play multiplayer, this is nothing like the Avengers game that came out for Marvel. This is more akin to the Spider-Man and the Miles Morales game that came out. So one buy, one and done. So I'm pretty excited for this, Mike. This is up there on my video game list for the fall, because as we know, holidays are great for video games. So hopefully I can get this, knock this out, beat it before Halo drops in December. So yeah, are you thinking about getting it? I've never actually asked you.
Yeah, it might be on the list. We'll see. I'm slightly hesitant just because it's like just Star-Lord. So I'm like, if they really highly polish this game from a shooting mechanic point of view, like, because that's essentially what this has to be. It's a shooter game because that's the main weapon he has. So if they made a really, really good shooter game that just kind of that lives in the Guardians of the Galaxy world, I think I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
But we'll have to see if they did a good job.
Yeah, from my understanding is, again, third person, and then you can give the other Guardians like commands along the way, like attack or defend or whatever. So yeah, we'll definitely probably get some more actual reviews, because it's out like 2 weeks now, I guess. This game has snuck up on us. It might be the 26th, yes. So yeah, we'll do that. On the flip side of that, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 is getting some hot rumors. Will Poulter, familiar with this guy? This actor?
I just looked him up. I know his face, 100% for sure, and I looked at his IMDb. I haven't seen anything that he's in.
Are you really?
I think We Are the Millers might be his most kind of like mainstream movie. And I've never seen it, but I know what it is, It looks like he was in some Narnia movies too, and I technically might have seen those, but it's not like
I think he was much younger than that. He's known for being in the Maze Runner movies, which is kind of outside where it says. But the other one, like his big, was Black Mirror Bandersnatch, the interactive.
Oh, I guess I did. I watched that. I guess I didn't remember he was in it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and then there was something else I saw. Oh, Midsummer. He was in Midsummer as well.
Okay.
So he's an up and coming actor. Not young, but he can look young. He can look older. But he is rumored to be the lead for Adam Warlock in the upcoming Guardians 3.
Kind of strange, because I mean, like he's kind of like a scrawnier dude, right? I mean, and isn't Adam Warlock kind of like, he's not like buff, but he's built like within the comic books.
In the comic books, he would be, as again to reference, always a golden god, if you will. But again, looking at the golden people we saw in the Guardians 2, right? They're not really that buff. Maybe he's more akin to that race than the comic book version.
Yeah, or who knows? I mean, if Gunn really thinks he is the perfect fit for the role, they could just be going kind of like the reverse kind of Chris Evans as Captain America, right? Take the scrawny guy and make him buff, and also like he's gonna be like gold the entire time, probably like floating around doing magic and stuff. He's probably gonna be CG most of the time anyway, so maybe it doesn't really matter the body. But like I said, I don't really know the guy. That he could be buff, he could be massive by now, and I don't even know it.
Yeah, they had that workout situation down at Marvel, and Kumail Nanjiani, He doesn't like to talk
That's
about
true.
it, but he did do a good job of that.
If Kumail can do it, I don't see why Will Poulter couldn't.
Exactly. But again, this was teased at the end of Guardians 2, and Will Poulter, he was also in the Amazon Lord of the Rings movie or TV series, but he dropped out due to scheduling conflicts. Now, if you were to drop out of Lord of the Rings, there's not many other properties you should go to, right? Because that's kind of like
exactly.
So I feel like that might be like, oh yeah, if he was in early negotiations for Marvel, yeah, that's where the money would be, kind of rather than Lord of the Rings. So, yeah, I don't know. Hopefully, we'll get some announcements. Disney Plus Investor Day or whatever it's called, Disney Plus Day is coming up in
streaming day or whatever they're calling it.
Yeah, it's November. I think it's about a month out. So we'll keep you posted. And other things we might get announced that day are these very rumored Disney Plus spin-off shows, because everybody's getting a spin-off over at Marvel right now. Monica Rambeau's rumored. The Ten Rings are rumored. That one seems pretty likely, actually. And then Agatha Harkness spin-off was rumored, and that seems to be the strongest contender at this point. That was a big. I think there was even like a Hollywood Reporter had an article on it.
Yeah, that was getting like Variety, Deadline headlines. And if you're making it to those publications, you're kind of outside of the rumor mill now, and it's somebody within the industry is talking to somebody who is working in the industry. It's not just like some geek blog that has like a good track record of guessing this stuff.
Yeah.
So it seems like Agatha is gonna be coming around again.
Yeah, exactly. So that's a pretty good one. I think the biggest disappointment here was that there was a What If Star-Lord was T'Challa spinoff in the works before the passing of Chadwick Boseman. I can't believe how much of him was in the What If as a season. Chadwick Boseman, and he just, as a voice actor, he just nailed it. I think that's going to be a missed voice in the universe as a whole. So, but yeah, of these, again, Agatha Harkness seems the strongest. Ten Rings, I'd actually prefer that as a TV show rather than a movie, if I was to be honest, after watching Shang-Chi. But we could go either way, really. I think Monica Rambeau feels the weirdest.
Yeah, it seems like you gotta watch her. You gotta watch her next movie, right? Because like she's already been spun off into the Marvels movie. So I guess we gotta wait and see how that transpires. I'm always like hesitant, right, to get excited for these spinoffs before like I've really seen much of the character. Like we did get some Monica Rambeau in WandaVision, and she got her moment where she had her powers, but we don't really know a whole lot about the character just yet. I guess maybe more than most. Maybe it's just been a while since I've seen WandaVision. I got to download more Monica Rambeau back into my brain.
That's true. Well, we talked about this, I think, in depth last week about the character Echo getting a spinoff, and we're like, we don't even know who Echo is at this point, or what she does in this world. So
yeah, we're actually still surprisingly in the fresh kind of baby smell stage of Marvel over on Disney Plus, right? Like we're just getting around to airing all of the shows that were initially announced, right? You know, we're going to get Hawkeye here soon. Then once Hawkeye is kind of out of the gate, I think we were finally through, I guess, quote unquote, phase one of Marvel Disney, and then we're moving on to the next stuff.
Yeah, so it seems like they planned out all those for 1 year of release, and then the next 3 that we know of will be starting next year. So
I think Miss Marvel is really going to kind of give us an idea of what's the long-term strategy with brand new characters.
Well, that I'm actually leaning heavily more into Moon Knight, if I'm going to be honest. I think Miss Marvel is great because she's also going to the Marvels. Moon Knight, we have no idea where he's going next. I'm going to guess Blade, which I forgot to put in here. Oh my gosh, we'll put that in here as the next topic, Mike. But Moon Knight to me is like the biggest question mark. Like, what do you do with him? Where's he come from? Is he even powered?
A lot of world building to come out of that too, right? Especially with Agatha. Like, if I had any like nitpicks when it comes to WandaVision and Agatha in general, is they don't really explain a whole lot about witches and magic, you know, in like the American past, right? You know, she's kind of supposed to be coming out of this like Salem time period, and it's just like, oh yeah, there's just magic, right? And it's just like, okay, well, we know magic kind of exists within this Doctor Strange realm, but it all seems to have been attached to kind of like these wizards and warlocks and stuff, and now we're kind of getting into colonial witches. And it's like they just kind of like almost shrugged it off of just like, oh, it's just here and it exists. Like they're like I've brought up this idea on the show before of just like nothing fantastical ever happened in like the world of the MCU on planet Earth, right? Until Tony Stark put on the suit, right, and went out and started to become a hero. And then that made this domino effect happen where more heroes came out of the woodwork, where Nick Fury started pulling these things together because he started to notice, like, oh, we're going to need these heroes. Things are starting to seem weird, right? But now we have to go back and say, no, there was lots of weird stuff and fantastical stuff already happening. We just never got to see it. And it's not like it would be hard to believe, but it's just like we have been taught within the MCU that nothing really special happened until Tony Stark came around, and then the domino effect, right? So, I guess you kind of got to find a way to like get in there and kind of explain.
There
right?
are, I would say, some forgivable ones, like Captain America. Seems to be pretty okay, to be something that's pre-Iron Man that was fantastical, right? Like, and then the other one that's kind of is Captain Marvel, because what's weird about those are like, we have military secrets, right? They can, like, oh, we've been keeping this undercover by the military and the government for years.
And it's relatively easy to keep under the cover, right? You have a whole military industrial complex to hide it, but like, how did people not know witches were like doing magic, like in Salem? Like it seems like that should be in the like there's no super early version of S.H.I.E.L.D., right? That's like going to like Massachusetts, right, and covering this up.
Yeah, exactly. And again, as much as we enjoy WandaVision, I think Agatha is like the weakest link of that episode or that series, because why was she in the town where Wanda just happened to go crazy and have a breakdown at and build this reality, right? Like, why, like, what was she there? And I think that's, again, early Marvel and television, that's just like, we have to get through this story, so we're just not going to, we're going to watch it over.
Catherine Hahn was great. Her performance was amazing. It was definitely surprising to see another witch on the screen, but I think we were all kind of expecting maybe more of a connection to something we've seen. Like I thought we might see like a post-credit scene where like maybe Mordo maybe didn't send her there, but maybe Mordo like gave her like a tip or something, like, oh, I got word that this is all going to happen down in this town or something like that, right?
Well, the other part of that is I thought about that. We've not heard any updates on the ending of that series being updated with that one little interesting shadow or watermark on
the tree gate or something. What are we calling it?
Yeah, whatever that was. I was thinking about that actually earlier this week. I'm like, we've not heard anything talk about that since then. I wonder if that's still there. But talk about a blip on the radar of things. But Agatha Harkness, if they're going to do anything, I guess they could talk about, what she did over the several hundred years where she just didn't age apparently and had purple magic instead. But
I mean, I suppose this is an opportunity, right, to go back and explain like the Salem witch trials and her, her quest for more magic in a little bit more thorough detail.
Because I think going forward, I'd have to see what Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness does with these characters, because I just don't see her, doing anything going forward. Like, she doesn't seem like a threat to the world at large. She just was after the Scarlet Witch in that moment, thankfully. So, anyways, back to the thing I forgot to put in the show notes. Blade was release date was quote unquote accidentally released by the Marvel Brazil account, the official account. They said it was October 2022. Fun fact, there is no October 2022 date on the Disney calendar now. That October date was pushed to 2023. So I believe Blade will be released October 2023, like we have hypothesized for the past 2 years. We've known this movie was going to exist. So
also they're not even filming it, right?
Yep.
Like even movies that are coming out next year, even later in the year, we've gotten at least like a couple like set shots, right? Like we've seen a little bit of what the next Black Panther movie looks like because we have a little bit of the set there. Nothing on a Blade just yet. But October does seem right. Like what a perfect month to drop Blade in there.
Yeah, exactly. I mean that would be great. I mean, I don't think this. If they film this starting now, they could probably do it. But I don't believe this movie's filming anytime soon. I don't even know if we have a script yet for this. So. I'm excited to see Blade. If I was going to be honest, I would like to check it out.
I mean, this is just a whole nother example of how are we expanding the Marvel universe, right? Have vampires always been around?
Yeah.
Are they just showing up now due to like a multiversal shift?
Well,
maybe
they mentioned it on Loki.
Yeah, maybe Blade would be out of a job, right? If the multiverse never broke.
Yep.
Because he's just like, I'd love to kill some vampires, but they don't exist. Oh wait a minute, now vampires exist. I'm gonna go kill them. I don't know how.
Well,
it's
right. I mean, the idea was like the TVA was trimming vampires and stuff like that, apparently. But like that was a drop, kind of like how Captain America in Civil War was like, oh, Stephen Strange. They was like, oh my God, Doctor Strange. So yeah, we got some opportunities here for them to tell a story and tell a spooky story next October, and hopefully beat all those Venom box office dates.
Next October.
Yeah,
next
2 years out. Now, mind you, we could be wrong and get 6 Marvel movies next year, but I don't believe that happening for 1 second. So
that'd be intense. I think they're sticking to financial quarters. If Disney as a corporation can put out a high-profile streaming series and a high-profile movie every quarter, I'm sure their investors and their board of directors will be changing their pants.
Yep, because they're doing 4, and then Spider-Man doesn't count as theirs, so that is the 5th one, sadly. So, I'm excited to see more of this and learn more about Blade. And again, I think he's not the last one, but he's like one of the, I guess, the final endings, I guess, of that Phase 4 we talked about at Comic-Con. He was like the last thing. We have Eternals, Doctor Strange 2, and that's it, right? Was it?
Yeah. I mean, we're still waiting for some kernel of Fantastic Four news. I need something because I cannot see the photoshops of John Krasinski and Emily Blunt as Mr. and Mrs. Fantastic anymore.
Well,
I can't stand it. They need to announce something so I can stop seeing
but
it.
But that's also wasn't part of our announcements. Weirdly enough, that was the other one. I'm trying to think. Black Panther, Thor: Love and Thunder. Thor was the other one that they announced at our Comic-Con. The other thing, everything else was announced later. So yeah. All right. Well, in that regard, Mike, we are about to jump into the last bit of the episode where we talk about what if the season finale. What if the Watcher broke his oath? If you've not seen it, step away. We'll be talking about the season as a whole as well. So if you haven't seen it, get out.
I would like to offer a different title for this episode of what if they didn't air one of the episodes and you wonder why is Tony Stark in this weird mech armor that doesn't look the same? Why is Gamora teaming up with them? And why are we acting like we've seen this episode already?
Yeah, this is very much one of the weirdest things of this episode, because you want to see more. This is the episode that we talked about being cut due to the pandemic, right? What if?
Yeah, I totally understand it.
Yeah, well, the episode was we've been teased this. What if Tony Stark went to Sakaar, right? Like even on like stuff we shared it personally, like that was one of the episode titles because he's in that Hulkbuster armor with the Sakaran paint, right? The blue teal paint, and obviously Gamora killed Thanos because she's melting down the Infinity Gauntlet, and they have the Infinity Crusher,
and she has that double kind of sword thing,
and she's got an Infinity Stone destroying device. Like literally, the whole premise of this episode is built around her having that device, and we get nothing on it.
I think they called it a crusher.
Yeah, the Infinity Crusher.
Which was strange because it's not really a crusher. It was more like a grinder, like an angle grinder or something. So I don't know what the deal was.
It looked like a rock. It looked like a rock crusher that you drop the rocks in and it grinds the rocks together. But I get what you're saying.
I don't know. It looked like a gigantic beard trimmer for some sort of celestial. I don't know.
So one of the things I hate most about this episode is why the goddamn hell would you get Killmonger in here? Of all the characters you could pull out of this season, right? Every episode I think was referenced at some point, right? But Killmonger is the worst of all the people here. He doesn't want to play along. He wants the Infinity Stones for himself. So my thought process is to rationalize this, Mike, is that maybe the Watcher knew Killmonger would be the person to put the stones in stasis so Doctor Strange could freeze them in time. Because other than that, he is the worst character out of all this, and I hate watching him.
I was like the Watcher was going around and picking up people. I was like, why him? Like you've watched his episode just like we did. You can't trust him at all.
Yeah, so I think that the reason why he knew he would try to steal the stones, and that would cause the conflict to freeze them and prevent this bubble from happening. Overall, just an okay finale. I think I like the last episode a little better at the end of it, but I did enjoy the action scenes in this. It was very fun to see. As much as I hate the first episode, don't care for the first episode of Captain Carter. It's fun to see her version of Civil War happen, or not Civil War, Winter Soldier happen, where she's like, "Well, what about the guy in accounting?" Like that whole conversation on the boat.
Yeah.
I thought that was really fun, and that her rapport with Black Widow was really, really cool. To bring that together.
I thought it was pretty entertaining watching the Watcher show up just on the horizon or in the sky. Like, people were just going about their day, and then all of a sudden there's this like big bald head baby man just like, I am here for you. I thought that was kind of entertaining. Party Thor was back. I think he's just kind of infectious just in general. It's just fun to watch Chris Hemsworth act a fool behind a microphone. Yeah, I think it's kind of strange, right? Because like the stakes within the Marvel Cinematic Universe have never been higher, right? Even if you talk about Thanos snapping his fingers and wiping off half of the life across the universe, right? That's still lower stakes than Vision / Ultron, whatever you want to call it.
Destroying everybody.
Destroying the multiverses, right? I don't know how the stakes could ever get any higher than destroying everything, like literally everything, by the definition, everything, right? So it's just strange seeing something so high stake kind of in a like an animated format, right? And also on Disney Plus, it's just kind of like, oh, welcome to Marvel's What If, where everything's made up and the points don't
I was saying, at the same time, I could feel like you could skip this and nothing would have changed in the MCU at large.
Yeah, unless some of the rumors pan out and we do get to see Peggy Carter return, or I guess the actress in live.
But that doesn't matter. Like, you could watch them and none of the show would really matter at the end of the day.
Yeah, but I would have a little bit of background of like, oh, why is Haley Atwell back and why is she dressed like Captain America?
Right, yep.
But yeah, it does, like, and this is kind of what I brought up last week, and also with like Star Wars Visions, right? Like all of these like one-off anthology shows, they're fun, right? You know, we have a good time. It's creative to see what if, but at the end of the day, like you know, it doesn't really matter. And like it feels weird. I feel like I'm being a contradictory, unacceptable nerd, right? Like, no, don't give me this unless it matters. But at the same time, like, well, if it's not really laddering up to your cinematic universe, I feel less invested.
Well, I say don't hype us up that it is actually part of the MCU is my thing. Like, if they said, hey, we got these one-off shorts we're going to show you, they're non-consequential, but we had some fun making them, I think the idea behind them would be different. But since we got out of the series that was Loki, that dealt with the multiverse and high stakes and like a lot of fun and like, hey, here's some opportunity to be wild and crazy, the show wasn't wild and crazy. It was just kind of okay.
I would say that actually is a little bit of an issue, right? I think we all expected this animated show to like almost be part 2 of Loki season 1. And unfortunately, Loki season 1 left us with a cliffhanger and almost no resolution, right? I would say that's the one real critical fair thing that you could say about Loki season 1. There's not a lot of resolution there. It's just we want like you just kind of ended it.
Well, even if there's no resolution, it set us up for something bigger, and this was what we got next. And
it's almost kind of like after we watched Avengers: Age of Ultron, and then we go see Ant-Man. Yeah, right. It's like, yeah, fine, we had a good time, but like, come on, like some big stuff just happened. So I have a feeling if we were to watch this at a different point in time, or maybe if there's a more casual MCU fan out there that doesn't even know this is out there, and then they watch it in a year or two, they're like, oh, that was fun. So
maybe if the cinematic movies were in order and Doctor Strange had played right before this or right after this, maybe. But I don't feel like there's like nothing here. There were no consequences on the whole that we know of right now, other than the fact we're getting a season 2. And we will get that episode with Gamora, by the way. So if anyone's worried, we will get it.
That better not be the season premiere, right? Or if you're gonna lay it on me first, do like a 2-episode premiere, because I feel like we kind of know where it's gonna end up, right?
fix it a little bit, change it up for us a little bit, give us something interesting. But yeah, I think the action was fun. I credit a friend of the show, Brian, who mentioned if Black Widow is shooting Hawkeye's bow, does that make her Black Eye? Because she also shot him in the eye and gave him a black eye. I said so. That was pretty fun. I liked Azola in the chest of Ultron after he kind of took over.
That was a wild imagery. I was like, whoa, okay, he's just right there.
That's also how he looks in the comic books. He actually kind of looks like a video chest in that the cavity of like a big body as well. So that was a little fun homage. Overall, just kind of okay. I think it's perfectly fine. I think Doctor Strange is the most powerful person in this universe. He literally saved everyone from dying every time with his little magical shield. But I do enjoy this Doctor. I'm glad he wasn't full evil by the time of his last episode, right?
Yeah, I was really expecting him to just be like, wild, out of control, like a maniac. And it seems like he's done some thinking in his little cosmic egg that he has returned to now. If this show has done really anything, and I hope Jeffrey Wright continues on, but he does a great Watcher. I'd love to see him, somehow end up in live action. Like, what an amazing voice. I love watching the opening credits because I just love hearing him talk and say, what if? It's just like spine tingling.
It's very spot on.
It's great. Yeah. So, I feel like the whole series kind of sinks and swims based off the concepts, sometimes even the voice acting, because, if you get a bad one, it can be distracting. But I think really, like a lot of MCU fans, we want to get back into it, and this could be no fault of the people creating the stuff. Everything's been delayed due to the pandemic, right? We should have had Shang-Chi a while ago. We should have had all this stuff a while ago. But I really want to dive back into the meat. The real meat of the MCU. I want to get back into the theories, the conspiracies,
Shake it up a little bit. We need the actual shake up, because I don't feel like this shook anything up. I will say, before I forget, I didn't think they were going to reference the zombies episode, but it was really cool to see them drop. Was it? I think the Strange opened up the portal and dropped the Scarlet Witch right on him. He's like, "This will delay him a little bit." While we
and
go.
It didn't delay him at all. He blew up the planet. Then he's like, "How am I going to solve this? I'll just blow up the planet that these zombies are on."
Yeah. So I think, other than that, there's not much else I can think of, to be honestly, about this episode. But
it's like I know it sounds like we're being harsh, but I think it's more like we're just not that invested overall. So like my opinion is just kind of like, I'm just not as invested as I thought I would be. So I feel like my opinion is not as strong as I thought it would be.
At its worst, the show is still good. At its worst, is still good. Like, I think that's the thing. Like, but we're dealing with great. On the other spectrum, like with Shang-Chi, great movie. Black Widow, Loki, all these other things they're coming out. They're any of these shows at their worst are great or still good. So it's just I expect a little bit more, and for them to have the very interesting thing, like, we're gonna delay an episode despite that character being a main part of this episode is a very weird.
Yeah. Weirdly enough, though, it wasn't too detracting to the overall, because, like, the Watcher, we understand what he's doing. He's jumping around the different multiverses, just grabbing whoever works, and just like how the rest of the cosmic defenders or whatever
defenders of the multiverse.
Them, they don't know who these people are either. So I kind of felt like I was in their shoes. Like, who's this Gamora? And
I will say, I went back and saw some still shots, from this episode, and the animation, the backgrounds and the animation are still. I feel like they got better over time, or maybe I adjusted to them more. They were really, really good. I had a good time looking at it.
Art direction is beautiful and amazing. I love how throughout the entire series they would still do a lot of explosion and lightning effects in normal, like, 2D animation. So I love the combinations.
Did you notice the addition of the Kirby crackle, as they call it in this episode? Are you familiar with that?
Oh yeah.
The black dots, like, to indicate what nether space and negative energy and stuff like that. The huge throwback to Jack Kirby, artist, in this one.
Yeah. So I would love to see maybe the second season when it comes out. I think they've already kind of announced that they're going to be bringing in some faces from the franchise. Like, did they say that Shang-Chi was going to be in one of these?
I think they said everything from Phase 4 will be on the table in this next season.
I love that idea. So that's going to freshen things up a little bit. At least now I'm more mentally prepared for what this show is. It's not necessarily, I don't have to watch it every single week, or I'm going to be behind on, like, live action stuff. I can kind of watch it at my leisure, but I'm not going to watch it at my leisure because we talk about it every week on the show. So why would I do that?
Well, thank God they're bite sized. They're 20 minutes or 20 to 30 minutes. They're great little things to wash down. On a Wednesday. Like I sit down and watch this. Great. I'll eat dinner while I do it. It's fine.
Yeah, but just go bigger, go more crazy, because I feel like I'm already imagining the Shang-Chi What If episode. Like, what if his sister was picked by the father to become, like, the successor for the rings? And it's just like, okay, I mean, I guess we're just gonna kind of get more of a slight variation on the
I
story.
I want to know if I would like to see what if the Soul Sucker got into the Marvel main universe.
Yeah, like what if they didn't stop it,
Yeah.
and like what mania happens after that? Yeah, just go bigger, go more wilder, go crazy.
Yeah,
I'm down for
and I think that's the other thing. Yeah, like I want to. Since we know they're MCU adjacent, I'm gonna not set my expectations that we're gonna see alternate universes where like everyone's an animal, or like, hey, this is a universe. If the Avengers formed in the year 3000 instead of the year 2000 thing. But like,
I don't know what the global appeal of it was overall, but I'd love more funnier episodes, right? Like I loved how silly the Thor episode was. I would love to see more silly stuff, just like kind of really, for lack of a better French, take the piss out of some of the characters and some of the stories. Like I'd be down for more.
Not everything doesn't have to be all doom and gloom right at the end of the day, or like a 1-for-1 remake with a gender swap character. I agree with that. I think you and I talked about the Thor one kind of felt like a Looney Tunes episode, right? Like, oh my gosh, we have to, or like a classic cartoon trip. Oh my gosh, the parents are pulling in the driveway. We have to do. I think even Rick and Morty did that at like one point where they like froze time and cleaned up the thing. So I would love to see some maybe even some more team ups that we wouldn't normally get in a movie as well. For lack of, since we're talking Shang-Chi, the Wong and Abomination, like to see them team up a little bit more. Like, what's that kind of look like? So, yeah, I think overall it's a good season, but like I think it shied away from greatness by kind of playing it safe throughout the whole thing. So, anything else you want to add to that?
No, I mean we got more Marvel animated stuff down the pipeline.
Yep.
I'm really curious what that's going to look like, because this is the first time we've ever had like officially sanctioned MCU animated stuff. Yeah. And I'm also curious, how does that play with like the kid-friendly stuff? I would say the Guardians of the Galaxy animated show, which had been airing for a couple of years, was pretty highly polished, an action show, but definitely kind of geared towards kids, right? I feel like that's not going to ladder up to anything. So I like, if there's going to be more cinematic, series, are they trying to make them, kid friendly? How does this all live on the same streaming service? So I'm curious to see how this goes.
I say give it consequences to the MCU at large. I think if you're gonna get us invested on the whole, make it actually funnel up to the live action movies, because I don't think we're gonna see this at all at the end of the day. All right, well, that's the episode, Mike. Let's get out of here. If people know what you're up to, what you're doing, where can they find you at?
Well, they can find me at Mike Royer Design on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok, and you can read my webcomics at pickledcomics.com. Chris, if people want to catch up with you, where can they find you?
Find me on Twitter, Valdan, Valdan, or Instagram, Valdan87. People want to know more about the show, what we're doing, listen to our Venom Let There Be Carnage review from last week. Where can they get all that good content at?
Oh, head on over to Superhero Slate HQ, which is superheroslate.com. That is the best place to find all of our awesome show notes and to find out where we host our little podcast. We're on Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Spotify, wherever else you love to listen to fine podcasts. You can like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter and Instagram, and you can get merch at superheroslate.com/store. Please reach out and let us know what you're watching. Jim wants to know what we're getting excited to watch during this spooky holiday season. I'm in the middle of rewatching I Know What You Did Last Summer, which is a movie that I never really watched when I was a teenager back in school, so I feel like I'm revisiting it for the first time, even though I've never really seen it. So let us know what you're watching this spook season, and then we'll throw some of those suggestions up there on the show in the next week or so. But we love our super fans of the show, and if you want to be a super fan, it's so easy to do. All you got to do is share the show with a friend, share the show with a buddy. Make sure you're getting vaccinated. We're going into the holiday season. It's getting colder. People are going inside. You need to make sure you're protected and get vaccinated, and we'll be here every week, folks.
That's right. We'll see you guys next week.
Bye, everybody.
Thanks for listening, and don't forget to subscribe.
I'm still a little poophoric, so I should have.
I know that's why I figured I'd get you on the housekeeping stuff. Like
on the upswing.
Let's get creative.